Follow this sequence of 5 breaths, but keep in mind, the 5th is not a technique, it's a vibrational permission. In the next few minutes, you will go through 5 practices that dissolve anxiety layer by layer, starting with pulse regulation and ending with a ritual that reprograms the body effortlessly. The 5th breath is not for ordinary humans. It requires a clear field, a prepared nervous system, and a body that has finally stopped resisting. The first 4 open the doors. The 5th dissolves what was keeping you stuck. You've probably tried to take a deep breath and felt your chest tighten even more, because the body doesn't trust, doesn't allow, doesn't open. That's not your failure. It's a defense response that has crystallized in your tissue. If you leave this video now, you'll remain trapped in the anxious cycle of effort, breathing against yourself and missing the access to a code that the ancients guarded as sacred knowledge. There is a somatic reason why the air doesn't enter, and it's hidden where no one ever taught you to look. The anxiety that lingers is not an overflow of emotion, it's a lack of internal ground. Your body learned to resist air because your nervous system still operates in threat mode, where a deep inhale is perceived as an invasion, not as healing. By the end of this video, you will have moved through 5 breaths that recalibrate this code, dissolving layers of defense until you reach the 5th, a vibrational ritual that cannot be taught, only received when the body is finally ready. In the initiatory schools of ancient Egypt, breath wasn't physical training. It was a sacred language between Ka and Ba, the vital body and the conscious soul. This breath only manifested in prepared temples, in bodies that had gone through enough somatic purification to handle reconnection. The priests knew forcing divine breath into a body still holding tension could fragment it, not heal it. Breath was a portal, not a tool, and portals require bodily dignity. The alchemists mapped this blockage as an imbalance between sulfur and mercury, vital impulse without receptive flow, constant mobilization without the ability to dissolve and surrender. The divine breath, described in Hermetic texts as the first language of creation, only returns when the body stops fighting itself. It's not control that's missing. It's the somatic permission that was never granted. The body forgot that it can rest without dying. Polyvagal theory reveals the hidden mechanism. The vagus nerve, the golden thread between brain and heart, only allows deep breathing when the nervous system accesses a ventral state where safety replaces vigilance. Your locked diaphragm is not weakness, it's survival crystallized. The body keeps its doors locked because it's still expecting invasion. Now that the code has been revealed, it's time to activate it through the 5 breaths that unlock what once felt permanently sealed. The first 4 breaths prepare the ground. They regulate heart rate, oxygenate the brain, release the diaphragm, and balance the hemispheres. They cleanse the inner field, dissolve layers of defense, and create space where there was only tension. The 5th is not a technique. It is a vibrational portal that only opens when the body feels safe enough to allow reconnection. Without preparation, it can cause dizziness or dissociation because the nervous system isn't ready yet. Do not skip straight to the 5th breath. The title warns you for a somatic reason. An unprepared body will reject high frequency. Follow the sequence like a ritual, each breath unlocking the next. By the end, you won't just have learned, you will have moved through a real reprogramming of the internal code that kept your body stuck in survival mode. Now, the first breath, the 4-7-8 breath, is the mathematical ratio that forces the body to slow down without asking the mind for permission. Inhale through your nose while counting to 4, hold your breath while counting to 7, and exhale through your mouth while counting to 8. Repeat for full cycles. The prolonged exhale tells your brain there is no predator, no threat, no reason to keep the heart racing. The vagus nerve activates, and the sympathetic system switches off. The body finally receives physiological proof that it can stop running. You'll feel a visceral slowing down, involuntary yawns, and a sense of weight dropping from your shoulders as if something is being released. This is not mental relaxation, it is somatic disarmament. Through the imposed rhythm, the body understands that it is safe enough to lower its guard. This breath does not soothe anxiety, it removes the physiological fuel that keeps it alive. Cyclic breathing floods the blood with oxygen and dissolves the primary trigger of panic, the sensation of air shortage. Inhale deeply through your nose, then take in a little more air without exhaling. Push even more in even if it feels like there's no space left. Now release it all naturally, without controlling the exhale. Repeat 30 times. This pattern alkalizes the blood, reduces carbon dioxide, and signals to the brain that oxygen is abundant. You may feel tingling in your hands, lightness in your head, and a sudden mental clarity, as if fog has lifted. The body finally understands. The sense of lack was an illusion, created by a nervous system stuck in constant alert. There is no shortage of air. There never was. What was missing was internal permission to breathe without fear. 30 cycles break the crystallized pattern. When you're done, pause and observe the inner silence that settles in. Diaphragmatic breathing reconnects you with the forgotten muscle, the one babies use naturally, and adults shut down for survival. Place one hand on your chest and the other on your abdomen. The chest should remain still. Only the belly should rise like a balloon. Inhale while counting to 5, exhale while counting to 7. Repeat 10 full cycles. This breath releases the diaphragm from chronic tension, restores mobility, and allows the air to reach places it never could before. You may feel warmth in the solar plexus, perhaps soft emotional hiccups, or an involuntary release in the jaw. The body remembers it can breathe without being at war. The diaphragm finally relaxes, drops its invisible armor, and stops bracing for impacts the body feared but never came. 10 cycles are enough to return the body to a functional rhythm it lost somewhere along the way. Once this is done, you move to the 4th breath. Alternate nostril breathing balances the brain's hemispheres and soothes the limbic system. Close your right nostril with your thumb and inhale through the left while counting to 4. Close both nostrils and hold for 4. Release the thumb and exhale through the right nostril, counting to 4. Now reverse. Inhale through the right hold and exhale through the left. Repeat 7 full cycles. Each nostril activates a different hemisphere, creating neural coherence. You'll feel a growing mental silence, a sense of spaciousness inside your head, and a heart rate that finally stabilizes. The brain stops scanning for danger. Constant vigilance gives way to simple presence. 7 cycles are enough to recalibrate your internal lateralization and prepare the body for what comes next. The field is clear. The ground is ready. Now, finally, the 5th breath. The 5th breath is not mechanical, it is frequency. Voluntary control gives way to somatic intelligence, and the body takes over. Gently place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, just behind your upper teeth. No pressure, just touch. This point, known as Do27 in acupuncture, creates a closed bioelectric circuit. It connects the yin and yang channels, allowing energy to rise up the spine and flow down the front of the body. It completes the microcosmic orbit mapped by Taoists centuries ago. This is not symbolic, it is anatomical. Now, Don't pull or push the air, just observe. The breath will rise on its own, as if something beyond you is breathing through your body. The diaphragm moves by itself. The air enters without any conscious command. You feel that the air is breathing you, not the other way around. Rising heat along the spine, involuntary release of the jaw, abundant salivation, these are signs of ventral vagus nerve reactivation, a state where healing, regeneration, and full presence coexist. This is not a placebo. These are physiological markers that the body has finally accessed. The state where survival lets go and life returns. The body remembers it can exist without being at war with itself. Stay here for 3 to 5 minutes. If you feel dizzy, return to diaphragmatic breathing until you stabilize. The 5th breath requires a prepared body. Without the first for clearing the field, it can destabilize you. But when the body is ready, it reprograms. This is not a technique you control, it's a frequency you receive. The body knows when it is ready. It will show you through warmth, salivation, and a softening that cannot be forced. What the Egyptians called breathing like Shu was not poetic symbolism. It was a vibrational reconnection with the axis running from the sacrum to the top of the head, restoring the breath that had always been there, simply waiting for permission to return. You have just passed through 5 portals. The body that started this video is not the same as the one that finishes. The inner field has changed. Now it must be sealed. Lydia woke up every day at 5:40 in the morning, but her body only seemed to arrive around noon. At 56 years old, a retired literature teacher and educational consultant, she carried a kind of exhaustion that no medical test could name. Her chest was always tense, her jaw tight, her shoulders raised as if bracing for impact. She was breathing, but it was effort, not life. Guided meditation made her more anxious. Therapy helped her understand, but not to feel differently. The sequence of the 5 breaths came to her during a somatic retreat in Big Sur, led by a Chinese medicine practitioner who mentioned Egyptian codes and the vagus nerve in the same sentence. Lydia found it strange at first, too mystical for her rational mind, too scientific for her spiritual skepticism. But there was something in the instructor's voice that made her give it a try. In the first session, when she practiced the 4-7-8 breath, her chest tightened even more. Her body rejected it. She almost gave up. But something brought her back the next day. She followed the full sequence for 21 consecutive mornings, always before breakfast. For the first 7 days, nothing. On the 8th, she realized she had woken up without clenching her teeth. On the 12th, deep yawns began to emerge, something that hadn't happened in years. On the 18th day, during the 5th breath, her body simply let go. It wasn't a decision. It was an involuntary surrender. Lydia's voice regained its melody. People began to say she seemed different, more present. Her sleep became deep and uninterrupted, no longer waking at 3 in the morning in a state of alert. Decisions that used to feel stuck started to flow with ease, as if her body had stopped sabotaging what her mind wanted. The solar plexus, once a permanent knot, softened. She noticed she could go hours without thinking about breathing, because her body was finally breathing on its own, without needing reminders. Now, when she feels her chest start to tighten, when her jaw locks or her shoulders rise, Lydia returns to the 5th breath, not as an emergency technique, but as a language her body always knew and had simply forgotten. Tongue on the roof of the mouth, 3 minutes of surrender, and her inner field reorganizes. She no longer fights anxiety. She recognizes it as a signal that her body needs to come home, and she knows exactly how to bring it back. This transformation Lydia experienced over 21 days. You seal now in 30 seconds. Place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, just behind your teeth. Take 3 breaths without controlling the rhythm. Simply observe where the air wants to go. Notice if there is warmth in the center of your chest, if your jaw releases on its own, if the breath finally reaches down into your belly. These are physical signs that your internal field has changed. This is not belief, it is trackable. When you feel your body start to tighten again, and it will, because old patterns try to return, go immediately back to the 4-7-8 breath, 4 cycles. Then follow with the 5th breath for 2 minutes. This interrupts the survival loop before it reinstalls itself. Repeat this sequence each morning for 7 consecutive days. The body needs repetition to remember it can trust its own rhythm, that it can exist without being in constant war with itself. You didn't change because you got everything right. You changed because your body finally felt safe enough to receive the 5th breath, the one that is not a technique, but a vibrational permission. It is not intended for ordinary humans, because it requires a clear field, a prepared nervous system, and a body that has stopped resisting. The first 4 opened the doors. The 5th dissolved what had kept you stuck. Without preparation, it destabilizes. With preparation, it reprograms. Anxiety was never about an excess of emotion. It was about the absence of inner grounding, the nervous system searching for solid ground and not finding it, living in a constant freefall inside a body that forgot how to land. You didn't need more control. You needed less resistance. You needed your body to remember that being alive is not the same as being in danger. And now it remembers. The inner field has changed. This is trackable, measurable, and real. Kabir, the Indian mystic poet, once wrote something few people know. Breath is the bridge between the name of God and the body that speaks it. He wasn't referring to spoken prayer. He spoke of breath as the only gesture where the sacred and the somatic meet, with no intermediaries, no translation, no filter. Every inhale is an invitation, every exhale a surrender. A body that breathes with presence is not just alive, it is inhabited. And to be inhabited is the only real form of healing. The breath that God placed into the nostrils of the first human was not just air. It was permission to inhabit one's own flesh, to exist within the body without fear, without escape, without dissociation. The 5th breath restores that original breath, not as mechanical air, but as a frequency the body receives when it finally feels safe. When you allow this rhythm to guide you, the body stops being a prison. It becomes a temple, and temples do not need defense, only reverence. You followed the sequence of 5 breaths, and now you understand why the 5th is not for ordinary humans. Because ordinary humans live above the body, commanding, controlling, forcing every movement as if the body were a machine to be tamed. The 5th breath requires you to stop being an ordinary human and become what you were always meant to be, an inhabited temple, an aligned frequency, a body that finally trusts its own rhythm without needing to monitor it. The air that enters now is not the same because you are no longer the same. And this change didn't happen in the mind. It happened in the invisible layers, where fear crystallizes and anxiety takes root, where the body decides whether it will allow life or just survival. And you have just crossed the portal where that decision was rewritten forever. If this video resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any transformation portals we open. If you wish to support Transcend's mission and help bring this wisdom to more people who need to wake up from survival mode, consider becoming a channel member. Your contribution keeps alive this flame of ancestral knowledge, fused with somatic neuroscience, allowing more bodies to remember that they can breathe without fear. I want to know, what was it like to go through the fifth breath? Write in the comments. I followed the sequence and the fifth breath dissolved my anxiety. This affirmation seals your presence on the path of vibrational reconnection. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that the body is not the enemy. It is a temple waiting to be inhabited. And don't stop here. Click the screen and dive into another transformational video on the channel. Each activated portal brings you closer to the body you were born to become. Remember, the fifth breath is not for ordinary humans, because ordinary humans live dissociated, commanding the body from the outside without truly feeling it. But now, you live inside it, and the body finally recognizes who inhabits it.